Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Today we'll discuss a halacha in this week's Parsha, Parshas Chayei Sara. Perek Chafei, Shishi begins, Vayosef Avrohom, Vayikach Isha Shma Keturah. Avrohom added another wife, and her name was Keturah. This Keturah had 6 children, and then it continues and says, Vayitin Avrohom Askola Shaloi LiYitzchak. Avrohom gave everything he had to Yitzchak, and Rashi says it's the power of brachas. V'livnei Apilakshim, to the sons of the Pilakshim, to the Pelegesh, the concubine Asher Avrohom. Avrohom gave matanis. Avrohom gave gifts. Further on the Psukim it says, Ve'ela Tolis Yishmael ben Avrohom. This is the household of Yishmael. Who was Yishmael's mother? Hagar HaMitzris, Hagar the Egyptian woman, Shifcha Sara. She was the maid of Sarah. Now back to Keturah. Who is this Keturah that Avrohom marries once Sarah passes? And after Yitzchak marries Rivka. So Rashi accepts the Pshutei Mikra, the Pirush of the Medrash, the Keturah Zu Hagar. And what's the reason for the change of names? Even though she left the household of Avram and she went back to a place of bad doing, nevertheless, Noim Maaseh Keturah, her deeds were pleasant as Keturah, as the incense. The Rebbe explains that Rashi is bothered by a halacha issue. There's a halacha that says that if Rahman al-Islam, Reuven and Rachel, after marriage, and they get divorced, if they can reconcile, and Reuven will take back Rachel for a wife, he'll be mekayim a mitzvah of being machzir grushasei. There's actually a mitzvah to be machzir grushasei. This mitzvah only applies if after Reuven divorced Rachel the first time, Rachel did not marry anyone else. If, however, Rachel went and married somebody else, then not only it's not a mitzvah to be machzir grushasei, it is actually prohibited. It's an isser. So the Rebbe explains that Rashi is bothered with this problem, and the question is, how was Avram allowed to marry Hagar? If Hagar, according to the Tirgum Yonasan ben Uziel, the first time when Avram sent Hagar, he did not only let her go, the way the Rambam says, that a ben Noach could divorce his wife by just saying bye, and it will be considered a get, a divorce. Avram, says the Tirgum Yonasan ben Uziel, actually wrote a get. And if he actually wrote a get, and she went on back to her father's home, and in father's home, if she went on to marry anybody else or live with anybody else, then the issue would be an isser to be machzir grushasei. So therefore, Rashi continues, and Rashi says, Shlei nizdavga la'adam miyom shapir shem Avram. That from the time she left Avram, she was sent away from Avram, she didn't live with anybody else. So actually, there was no prohibition, no problem with Avram marrying Hagar. However, there are two other issues in the halacha that have to be explained concerning this chasna, this marriage of Avram and Hagar. And that is that the Das Geinim Balei Tosfos has a very simple question. The pasuk describes, and later and earlier in Parshas Lech Lecha, says clearly that this Hagar was a mitzris. And Rashi early says that she was actually Bas Parei. Parei saw the wonderful nisim that took place with Sarah. So Parei the Melech Mitzrayim says, Mutav, I'd rather want my daughter to become and be a shifcha, a maiden by this woman, by Sarah, than to become a special woman, a princess, a gvira b'veis acher. And she gave her away to Sarah. Now there's a clear din in Torah further on, and Avram was mekayim kol Torah kula, that says that a isha, a mitzri, an Egyptian family, you're not allowed to marry an Egyptian woman unless she's the Dor Shlishi, the third generation away from the original source of a mitzri. Now over here, Pare is Dor Rishon, and Bas Pare is Dor Sheni. How was Avram allowed to marry Hagar? And for that, the Das Geinim Balei Tosfos says two terutzim. Number one, Avram had a din of a ger. And since Avram had a din of a ger is mutter b'mitzvahs. Second teretz he gives, that over here the Medrash says Avram married Hagar al pi adibur. The Eibusha said he should marry Hagar. If the Eibusha says, then you listen. It doesn't apply the problems of the Isser Mitzrayim. However, it's interesting to note that this Al Pi Dibur has to be discussed. What was the point of Avrohom marrying Hagar, and what was the commandment all about? Because there's another shaila. Rabbi Yosef Engel in Beis Ha'etzer asks another halachic problem. Avram Avinu in Nach is referred to as a kohen, and a kohen is asur begrusha. A kohen is not allowed to marry a divorced woman. How was Avram allowed to marry Hagar? If we follow the opinion of Tirgim Yonasan Be'ezil, that the first time she was not only a shifcha, but she was also considered an isha, and he gave her a get. So how was Avram a kohen allowed to marry her now as a grusha? And he's mechadesh a tremendous chiddush, and the chiddush is that we know that the Eibishter commanded him to marry her now, and possibly the commandment was based on the psak din to fulfill the mitzvah of pru'arvu. And why was there a mitzvah of pru'arvu now? He already had kids. He already had Yitzchak and Yishmael, because there's a halachic opinion that holds that the mitzvah, the chiyuv of pru'arvu, one only fulfills if he has a son and a daughter. And up to this period of time, Avram only had Yitzchak and Yishmael. So to fulfill the chiyuv, he had to marry. He has a mitzvah. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel that there is a klal in Shas that says "Esei doichel esese," that if it's a situation where the kiyum of a fulfillment of a mitzvah esei is in a situation where it contradicts the lice esei, the esei overpowers. Here we have the chiyuv of pru'avu that applies to Avram Avinu, and we have the issue of kohen marrying a grusha, so the esei overpowers the lice esei. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, there are so many other women out there that he could marry. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, this is a tremendous chiddush, that this was the only isha haguna. This was the only worthy lady, proper lady, who he felt that he could fulfill this mitzvah with. Or as he says a little further, that nobody else was willing to convert, to become a giyaris, and join him in his mission in publicizing Hashem. So therefore, the mitzvah of pru'avu was not chal with anybody else. It was only chal. You cannot force him to fulfill the mitzvah just with anybody. So he only applies when you have an isha aguna. However, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, towards the end of the tshuva, that if we believe that Avram Avinu did not only have a din of a kohen, but some Svarim refer to him as a kohen gadol. Now, a kohen gadol does not only have a problem of not marrying a leisas, of not marrying a grusha, but a kohen gadol also has a mitzvah hasei v'hu b'psula yikach. He has a mitzvah hasei to marry a b'sula, and therefore, in this case, it would be a mitzvah hasei and a mitzvah leisas against the mitzvah hasei of pru'avu, and he's left by a tzarich chiyun. How was Avram Avinu allowed to marry Hagar?